We are in an actual publishing revolution right now. The industry is changing. In the past, the primary way to get published was to get an agent and get a publisher, similar to acting. And you would hear a lot about actors, people who never quite make it. They spend years and years going to auditions and being rejected. It's a lot like that when you're trying to break into the industry. I started querying agents in 2010. I had started writing a book in 2008. And I was rejected by every agent in New York and California. The thing about the industry is that it has shrunk so much that agents and publishers have to base their decisions on their own personal tastes. They're going to be the ones that have to work with the book and that author for years. And the truth is, they don't know what's going to make a bestseller. Harry Potter was rejected hundreds of times. The Help by Catherine Stockett was rejected over and over and over. And people say, how? Why would they reject this wonderful book? You know, it became such a bestseller. Well, the agents and publishers that rejected it just didn't themselves think that they liked it enough or that they could sell it to what they usually sell to. They just had to choose based on their own personal taste. That's the only way they can choose. But that's okay, because nowadays authors have a whole new route to go. And a lot of really famous authors have gone this route. The recent science fiction author, Howard Huey, I think his name is, who wrote Wool, went this route, as did the author of 50 Shades of Grey. She was a self-published author. Back in the day, self-publishing was something that if you did it, it meant you weren't a good writer. It meant that you just wanted to see your book published and the industry didn't, but you were going to do it anyways. That's not true anymore. Publishing has become so easy and affordable that writers are now actually using it as a way to build their audience. The author of Wool started out with ebooks, and he was publishing them and selling them for 99 cents. And he just did it as a way, I feel like moving on from the book, and I'm just going to throw it out there, good or not, I'll see what the audience thinks. It wasn't really a huge expense for him, so it wasn't really that much of a risk. And it turns out that people loved it, and now he's making $100,000 a month. So that was the route that I took after I was rejected over and over and over from 2010 to 2013, basically. I decided to take this new route, and I started my own publishing company called Unhinged Books. And I invested in it, and I hired cover designers and editors and copy editors and typesetters and ebook formatters. And basically, I hired my own publishing company. And they created this beautiful book. And it is more than I could have ever asked for a white ribbon account. I'm very excited about it. Any other questions?
Anyone have anything else?
I am. While I was living in Fallon, I started my second novel, which is called The Binding of St. Barbara, and it's still in its first drafts because I've been spending a lot of time working on this, getting this published. It's going to be a story, well, it is a story about the first death by electrocution in Auburn, New York in 1890. And it's more focused on the family that lived in the prison at the time. The warden's family, his wife, got heavily involved with the criminal who was to be killed. And the warden got heavily involved in the political side because it wasn't as simple as, we're going to do this, and we did it. There was a huge scandal, and a lot of, they tried to appeal it time and time again. And even the bigwigs of the time of electricity, George Westinghouse and Thomas Edison, became involved. The history itself is extremely interesting, but I've decided to also take another approach to it, and I've created a fictional daughter of the warden named Charlotte, and she believes that she can speak with the patron saint of lightning. And she slowly becomes more aware of herself as a young person growing up in this strange environment, and she starts to learn about life through this experience of witnessing the first death by electrocution and by meeting a strange boy outside the prison walls. And that is The Binding of St. Barbara. I know one question I get asked a lot is if I named the character in this novel John after my husband, Jonathan. And no, I did not. You might notice that I always refer to him as Jonathan. He's not John. John is somebody else, is my fictional character. I don't know why I came up with that name, and it actually, I remember coming up with it before I reread The Yellow Wallpaper. In that story, the husband is named John as well. And I think that probably was just something that was in the back of my head, left from when I originally read that story. And maybe a part of me sort of remembered that and decided I was going to model it after that story named John. I remember when I read The Yellow Wallpaper again, I was like, oh, this guy's named John. I can't name him John. But I tried other names for him, and for some reason, nothing else fit. It's one of those artist things where the character sort of took on a life of his own. He said, no, my name's John.
I'd like to thank you for what you said about the library, because there are wonderful things there, and you're obviously taking advantage of them. How much of your research do you do physical books? How much of it do you do online? And when you read a book, is it this, or is it a Fire or a Kindle or a
That's a
paperback?
fabulous question. I think that for this book in particular, probably 90 to 95% of my research was done with books, physical books. And probably 85 to 90% was done through the Church County Library. I pretty much researched and completed my research while I was living here. After I moved to Lemoore, I did fact checking a lot, but that was it. And that would be through the library out there or online. I usually only use online sources for fact checking because it's not always guaranteed that you're getting the truth when you're online, especially when it comes to history. I would rather prefer to go through published historians and authors who have been vetted by others in their industry as giving me correct information. As far as ebooks come, this is available in an ebook, and ebooks are a huge part of the modern world of books and the future world of books, but I have to admit that I cannot figure out how to work my e-readers at home. My husband's giving me two, and I literally had to download an e-reader onto my laptop because I couldn't open my own book on my e-readers. I just couldn't figure it out. I was like, how does anybody work this thing? I really like physical books. That's why, even though a lot of authors who are self-publishing nowadays are going only for the ebooks, I really had to have a physical book because that's how I read. That's how I experience it. And I think a lot of people out there prefer to experience a real book in their hands. And yeah. So ebooks, I accept ebooks for what they are, and I think it's great because they really popularize reading again. 5 to 10 years ago, people were saying nobody reads anymore, but now reading is kind of a trendy thing, and I thank ebooks for that. But I mean, I have to hold it. Anything else?
I just wanted to say on behalf of the gallery and our classes, how much we appreciate you and what you're doing for us. And thank you for that.
Thank you so much for having me here, and I'm so happy to be giving back that way because, like I said, I really feel like this community nurtured me as an artist in so many ways, and in so many ways I'm still taking what I got from this community and applying it to my writing career. So I couldn't be happier to give back. And I really hope it continues to grow art in this community.
It will.
Well, thank you everybody so much again for coming out, and please feel free to have some refreshment and come and consider buying a book about the arts. We do accept cash, and I have one of those little credit sliding things with phones, so if you want to buy with a credit card.